Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome to today's Ramadan Reminder. Today, inshallah, we'll speak today about deceit, cheating, and so on. The Prophet ﷺ said, Man gashana falaysa minna. Whoever cheats is not from amongst us. So deceit takes you away from the sunnah. The Prophet ﷺ said, when a person is selling, a salesman should reveal all the defects of his or her product, because the buyer might not be aware, and what you're doing is cheating them into that sale. So cheating them into that sale, telling them things that are not true about the product. Okay, so all of that is cheating. Gusha, rush is to cheat. And especially those people who've studied fiqh would come across this in the buying and selling, or in books of fiqh, in the etiquettes of how you buy and sell, that you don't rush to meet a potential buyer outside of the market and cheat him into a price, misleading him, saying that you're giving him the best price before he reaches the market where there's competitiveness and you're competing with other stores, and you may negotiate with your potential customer and bring down the actual price. But in order, some people at the time in Arabia would rush out outside of the marketplace to meet them before they reach the market to sell them their products, and that is again unacceptable, because you're exaggerating the lies in that. Obviously, not covering your defects in your product. We see this in modern marketing strategies, especially when you've come from a business background. The strategy is to sell and to make sure that you ignore any potential defects or anything that may, any bad reviews that you may have of that product, and not really give an honest viewpoint. They're called the marketing tactics, which are not allowed in Islam. So anything that you try and use as, which is untrue, not Islamic, and this is what comes into Islamic marketing management. So this is one of the subjects that's now, alhamdulillah, being launched by the universities, where people are now trying to, or universities and academically recognizing the Islamic aspect of Islamic management. And mashallah, we have one professor in America who's trying to bring out this new subject, and hoping for people to learn it and understand it. Same with coaching. You've got coaching that's very secular, but how do we take that and turn it into a more Islamic and acceptable subject? So there may be things, same in psychology, there may be things that are acceptable, but there's many things that we need to keep away from, because they do contradict some of the principles of the deen. And what we need to do is make sure that they complement the deen and to review them under Islamic knowledge. And we can do that, alhamdulillah. That is being done. You've got Islamic management, coaching, you've got Islamic psychology, inshallah, that's coming out. So you will you'll recognize these secular subjects that are now being reinterpreted from the Islamic perspective. Honesty when selling a product, which is, of course, we have to be honest anyway. But when you're selling a product, you need to be as transparent as possible. Be honest with your customer. Even if it means that you may not be able to sell that product, at least you've been honest. Because if you aren't honest, we know that if you start to cheat, you are not upon the sunnah of the Prophet. The Prophet said, you're not from amongst us if you do this. Giving a false testimony, this is again something quite serious. And again, you're cheating. You're giving a false statement, which is unacceptable. It's haram to give a false statement and to declare something which is not true. Again, comes back to what we were speaking about a few reminders earlier, that when you are lying, you are in the danger of being written down as a liar by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because lying, it is one of the sins, one of the gravest sins that you could fall into. And we looked at the hadith previously, in which the Prophet ﷺ said, it's enough to call or brand somebody a liar whenever he speaks about everything that he hears. So when we shouldn't be in a habit of quoting everything we hear, because sometimes you can mishear, sometimes you may not have heard the full conversation, you may be caught part of that conversation and you've gone and passed on an incomplete conversation, and you may have just unknowingly went and told somebody something that may have caused problems between two people. So it is enough, the Prophet said, it is enough to call this type of a person a liar, because everything that this person hears goes and narrates it outside. Okay, so that is something that we need to refrain from. We need to refrain from quoting everything that we hear, reporting everything back to the people that we know, because you don't know what damage you could do once you're doing that. Refrain from an exaggeration. So that's again in selling your products, or even in a testimony. If you're going to give a testimony and you are trying to help somebody with that, so you want to get somebody out of trouble, and you go, not only are you lying, but you carry on with your exaggeration within that lie. So that's all unacceptable. Okay, to lie for somebody, to give a false testimony for somebody, it's all forbidden. So of course it comes back to refraining from lying and cheating within testimonies and products. In anything else, I mean, there are conditions in which the Prophet ﷺ did say that you may be able to tell a lie, and that's when you reconcile between two people. So when you're reconciling between people, it may be permissible to maybe tell them a lie. In a time of a war, it's acceptable, and for a husband to please his wife and not to offend her, then that is allowed to do that. So saving the relationship in pleasing or saying something nice to her. I think there's a lot of husbands who probably get this question from their wives when they try something on, and they ask if they look fat, if they look, good in this outfit, and usually the husbands need to say yes, even if they don't think that, because they know that they will upset their wife, and you don't want to offend them. So you're probably very much familiar with that. So that's inshallah acceptable. It's not to upset. And this is one of the hadiths recorded in Riyadh al-Salihin. Okay, relieving the truth about something. So give the full truth. Islam abhors dishonesty. Islam abhors dishonesty. It doesn't encourage dishonesty. Even if you're in a tricky situation, try your best to tell the honest truth. Now, it may be that sometimes you don't want to reveal the truth. So in that case, what should you do? You should try and avoid telling them if it's something that you're not comfortable with telling some people. Some people may ask you a question and you're not comfortable really telling them something. The best thing to do is avoid that in a way that's possible and convenient. And you could also say, oh, I don't feel comfortable talking about that. I'd rather not say. I'd rather not say. And that usually lets people know that you're not really comfortable with talking about that certain matter, and that just inshallah will close it. Also, it's good etiquette for us generally to follow is not to ask, especially for women, when you see a woman who's probably expecting, and a lot of the time women don't really like to reveal that they are expecting, especially within the first early 3 months. And it's better, even if you can, personally, even if I see somebody and I know that they're expecting and it's been, everybody knows, it's so obvious, you could tell, I still don't ask until somebody tells me, just somebody mentions it, because I'm not sure if that person is comfortable sharing that news with me, or does that person really want me to know. Now, I don't want to be responsible for asking this person and then this person lying to me saying, no, I'm not expecting, when they are. So I don't want to put anybody in that position. I don't ask. And really, I would give everybody the same advice. Don't put people in a tricky situation where you feel that they have to lie. Sometimes you have a conversation, you may ask somebody and they sort of start stuttering, and you know that they don't really want to tell you something. Move on, change the subject. Don't wait for an answer. Move on. And that's something that I always try not to ask people anything. And if I've said something and I realize people don't really want to answer that question, I quickly move on without waiting for an answer, because we don't want to encourage lying. Okay, so we don't want to encourage lying. We want to refrain from lying from within ourselves. We want to break that habit if we are into that habit. We want to pass that on to our children. We want to make sure that they are telling us the truth. And when they're telling you the truth, appreciate the honesty. Tell them that you appreciate that honesty. And really just bring a healthy, honest environment into your own homes. And you can only do that once you propagate that honesty yourself. There are times where, okay, for example, if I don't want to go into work, I know that I don't want to make up a lie or conjure up a lie. So I'll start making dua for something, something happened, and I might start feeling, has happened, and sometimes I start feeling really poorly, and I ring in and I say, I'm not feeling well, I'm feeling nauseous, I've got a headache or something, something will happen for me. And at least what I can do is when I call at work, I'm not lying, I am telling them the truth. Now, of course, you don't have to tell them the severity of your illness. So, yes, it's, between 1 to 10, I think it's about 6. You don't need to go through that. But if you really are somebody who wants to, in all genuine circumstance, if you are somebody who does want to begin telling the truth, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make it easy for you. If you are in a situation where you don't want to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help you, take you out of that situation because you don't want to lie, but you feel like you're in a tricky situation. And alhamdulillah, I could tell you from my personal experience, when I wanted to make sure that I give up even those white lies and make sure that, a lot of people say it's a white lie, it doesn't matter. It does matter. It does matter. We are not allowed to lie, even if it's a white lie. So you have to be very honest, crystal clear. And we want to be those people who are written down as the honest ones by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We don't want to be as those who are written down as liars. Now, in order to do that, you need to make sure that you strive to tell the truth. And if you are in a situation where you don't want to say something, ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for help to take you out of that situation where you can avoid telling somebody the honest truth. And that, inshallah, will help you and it will protect you from lying. And I personally know if you struggle, inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will help you to make sure you reach your goals. But be genuine in striving to tell the truth, because that is very important. And inshallah, that's what I would like to leave you with today. Inshallah, for the last 10 Ramadans, we will focus more on things that will help us increase our ibadah. We will talk more about the akhirah. I will talk more about, inshallah, the day of reckoning, in order for us to learn about what is to come and what really should we be spending our time in the last few days asking and begging Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for protection from or against. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.